Hi everyone, my name's Austin Del Rio. I submitted a video called Gold Anyone, and I want to respond to Paul Dewar's question regarding Canada's role in peacekeeping and peace building in the world. I want to begin by saying that I fully agree with Paul Dewar and that Canada does have a strong history of peacekeeping, and peacekeeping is a very important job that Canada plays and has gotten itself involved with. We have done a tremendous amount of good through peacekeeping, and I think it's an excellent practice and an excellent way to bring the talents and the expertise Canada has in conflict resolution and in peace, and bringing this to other nations. What I want to focus on in this video response is Canada's role regarding peace building, which is something Paul Dewar asked. And I think it's very important to draw the distinction between peacekeeping and peace building, because the words sound very similar, and maybe just by the sense of the word it may sound the same or interchangeable terms. But in fact, peace building is something very different from peacekeeping. If you go to the United Nations website, they began a United Nations Peace Building Commission, whose role it is to assist in post-conflict recovery, infrastructure building, and in long-term development for these nations. Now, these things of course are good, but we need to be careful that we are not imposing a Canadian will upon foreign countries, especially when we bring the military in, because this is no longer sort of soft influence. This is imposing the will of our country on another country. And of course, I don't think that that's anybody's goal, but that's sort of what ends up happening. Like, you take the case of Afghanistan right now, a US-led initiative Canada got itself involved in, and what we're doing over there right now, insofar as peace building is concerned, is we have basically ignored the fundamental values of peacekeeping that has made Canada so great, and we have not gone in there to resolve conflict, but really to stir it up. And now we're in a position where we're saying, well, Afghanistan, you need to be this, this, and this if you want peace. You need democracy, you need this, and we're imposing these things upon an Afghan government, and we are totally meddling in the domestic affairs of a country. And that's why when Paul Dewar says, what's Canada's role regarding peace building, I think that yes, Canada can have a great role regarding peace building, but through soft influence. That means sending over trained professionals, encouraging private citizens, especially encouraging private citizens, so that these are Canadians helping over there, as opposed to the Canadian government helping over there. And I believe that the two are fundamentally different. Number one, in what they can do, and number two, in how it will be perceived by the Afghan people. If the Canadian government goes over there, as we're doing now in Afghanistan, and imposes a foreign policy upon these people, there's resentment, which is completely counterproductive in terms of the post-conflict recovery stage that Canada could help in, because they're not in a listening mode, and neither are we, for that matter, if we're seeking to impose our will. So, right, that is more or less what peace building should not be. What I see that we're doing in Afghanistan, and thus to further the peace building effort, we need to bring our troops home, get ourselves out of this mess that we've gotten ourselves into, respect the sovereignty of Afghanistan. I think that's something that can definitely needs to be talked about more in the current debate over what to do in Afghanistan, because it's not our country. And if any change is going to come about in Afghanistan, any real lasting change, it's going to be from the Afghan people. And that's why it's important that private individuals, private citizens, non-governmental organizations, which can be fully encouraged, backed by the Canadian government, and Canadian government can use their diplomacy to further the causes of these ones, but it's fundamentally important that Canada, in its policy of peace building, does not involve the military, and opens trade and seeks to break down these sort of barriers. And this will encourage freedom and encourage the peace building process that needs to take place. So Canada does have a strong role in peace building, but not through military force, enforcing a will upon these people. We need to respect our peacekeeping principles, which is a non-interventionist attitude and a very third-party, neutral mediation role in other countries, and allow the peace building to the Afghan people primarily, and if we wish to give help from private citizens, that should be where that peace building effort should come. So thank you for listening to my response.